Hello everyone. Let's talk about world art history today. Art history is a study about visual expression and also about aesthetic objects which give a sensory experience to us, which were created in the past. It included painting, drawing, sculpture, architecture, ceramics and decorative arts. Now, don't get confused by the terms philosophy of art or art theory or art criticism. Art history is more about the artist and the things revolving around them. It analyzes the various factors like cultural, political, religious, economical, which contribute to visual appearance of an artwork. So let's start learning more about it. But before that, don't forget to hit the like button if you appreciate this video. Hit the subscribe button and the bell icon near it to increase your knowledge and to remain updated. And do share the video if you would like to share this knowledge with others. Now, have you ever thought how do the art historians examine the artworks? Or what methods do they use? Actually, there are many methods. The first is in context of its time, the world within which it was created. Secondly, they examine artwork through an analysis of form, that is, the artist's use of line, shape, color, texture, and composition. This approach examines how the artist uses a 2D picture or the 3D sculptural or architectural space to create their art. Is the artist imitating an object or image found in nature? Is the artist not imitating but instead relying on symbolism or in an important way striving to capture nature's essence rather than copying it directly? Now, these all questions help the art historians to examine the artworks. An iconographical analysis is one which focuses on particular design elements of an object. Through a close reading of these elements, art historians use to draw conclusions regarding the origins of these motifs. In turn, it is possible to make any number of observations regarding the social, cultural, economic, and aesthetic values of those responsible for producing the object. For example, looking at artwork like this, we can make out that it is from an Indian background. Many art historians use critical theory. Theory is most often used when dealing with more recent objects, like those from the late 19th century onwards. There are many theories which are well established in this discipline. More recently, media and digital technology introduced possibilities of visual and experimental analysis. The relevant forms vary from movies to interactive forms, including virtual environment, augmented environment, situated media, networked media, etc. Now let's talk about the earliest surviving writing on art. These are the passages in natural history written by Pliny the Elder. It concerns the development of Greek sculpture and painting. From them, we can trace the ideas of Xenocrates. He was a Greek sculptor who was perhaps the first art historian. We can also trace passages about techniques used by the painter Apelles. Similarly, developments occurred in the 6th century China, where a canon of worthy artists was established by writers in the scholar official class. These writers, being necessarily proficient in calligraphy, were artists themselves. The artists are described in the 6 principles of painting. These are principles formulated by He, which will be discussed in the coming videos. Giorgio Vasari, the Tuscan painter, sculptor, and author of the book Lives of the Most Excellent Painters, Sculptors, and Architects, who wrote the first true history of art. He emphasized art's progression and development, which was a milestone in his field. His was a personal and a historical account featuring biographies of individual Italian artists. The most renowned of these were Michelangelo and Vasari's account, which were enlightening. Vasari's ideas about art were enormously influential and served as a model for many. Vasari's approach was there till the 18th century. Now let's talk about the father of the modern art history. He is Heinrich Wolfflin. He studied under Burckhardt in Basel. He taught at the universities of Berlin, Basel, Munich, and Zurich. He introduced a scientific approach to the history of art, focusing on three concepts. Firstly, he attempted to study art using psychology, particularly by applying the work of Wilhelm Wundt. He argued, among other things, that art and architecture are good if they resemble the human body. For example, houses were good if their facades looked like faces. Secondly, he introduced the idea of studying art through comparison. By comparing individual paintings to each other, he was able to make distinctions of style. His book, Renaissance and Baroque, developed this idea and was the first to show how these stylistic periods differed from one another. In contrast to Giorgio Vasari, Wolfflin was uninterested in the biographies of artists. In fact, he proposed the creation of an art history without names. Finally, he studied art based on ideas of nationhood. He was particularly interested in whether there was an inherently Italian and an inherently German style. This last interest was most fully articulated in his monograph on the German artist Albert Dürer. At the same time, a major school of art historical thought developed at the University of Vienna. The first generation of the Vienna school was influenced by Alois Rickel and Franz Wyckoff. They both wrote extensively on the art of late antiquity, which before them had been considered as a period of decline from the classical ideal. Regel also contributed to the revaluation of the Baroque. A number of the most important 20th century art historians, including Ernest Gombrich, received their degrees at Vienna at this time. The term Second Vienna School or the New Vienna School usually refers to the following generation of Viennese scholars. These scholars began in the 1930s to return to the work of the first generation, particularly to Regel and his concept of Kunstwollen, and attempted to develop it into a full-blown art historical methodology. Selmayr, in particular, rejected the minute study of iconography, patronage, and other approaches grounded in historical context, preferring instead to concentrate on the aesthetic qualities of a work of art. That's all for today. We'll continue about the 21st century art history in the next video. If you want to ask anything special, please mention it in the comment section below. Thank you.